After marathon talks that almost broke down, an agreement far more specific than many had expected, the weary negotiators set off to sell it back home. It requires Iran not to enrich uranium to weapons grade for 15 years, to reduce its number of operating nuclear centrifuges from 19,000 to just over 5,000, to increase the time it would take to make a bomb from a few months to a year, and to convert its underground plutonium reactor to peaceful research. UN inspectors will have full access to all of Iran's nuclear facilities, and Iran gets relief from sanctions only if it meets its commitments.
Our guest is deputy editor for the editorial page of the Wall Street Journal, Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, former editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post, also author of America in Retreat, The New Isolationism and the Coming Global Disorder. Welcome, Bret Stephens, to MidPoint. Bret, thank you so much for being with us.
Good to be on your show.
Bret, there is the first question that I posed just a few moments ago. Did the president simply get taken by the Iranians, or are too many people knee-jerking because indeed this might be the only way to get to some peace with Iran?
Look, I think the president, there's a reason, let me put it this way, there's a reason they're cheering in Tehran. And there's a reason there's so much skepticism, not only here in the United States in the Congress, but also with our allies in Jerusalem or our allies in Riyadh. This is a win for the Iranians. They get to keep all of their nuclear infrastructure, albeit with some modifications and paper restrictions, and in exchange, they are going to be getting relief from sanctions. So the Iranian pathway towards a bomb still remains very much open, and that's assuming they honor the terms of the deal, even as they're getting a deal that is going to make it actually remarkably easy for them to cheat if that's what they choose to do, and that's, of course, what they've done in the past.
I'm going to deal with the cheating here in a moment, but when you talk about the fact that there is still the infrastructure there, here's from the International New York Times. Iran would shut down roughly two-thirds of the 19,000 centrifuges producing uranium that could be used to fuel a bomb and agree not to enrich uranium over 3.67%, which is basically the lower level there. Wait a minute here, Bret. We're seeing this in a lot of different publications where they're saying that possibility of building a nuclear bomb is way down at this point for Iran. So who do we believe at this time?
Look, I mean, first of all, the New York Times story is inaccurate on its face. Iran has 19,000 centrifuges, but only operates about 10,000 of them. So just for the sake of accuracy, it's actually going down from about 10,000 operating centrifuges to about 5,000. That's still an industrial-scale nuclear capability. Another point of contention, very important here, is they built an illegal nuclear facility buried under a huge mountain, this facility called Fordo. Now, they claim they're going to be turning it into a kind of a research facility, kind of like an underground campus without nuclear material. But so long as that facility isn't destroyed and dismantled, it gives the Iranians access to a place where they can produce large quantities of enriched uranium very quickly. And I guess the third point I need to make, and I know this is technical, is that when people say, well, they're only producing they're only enriching uranium to 3.6% and weapons-grade uranium is 90%. Actually, technically speaking, enriching uranium to 3.6% is halfway to where you want to be for the 90% enriched uranium. That's just the kind of the strange way in which enrichment works. But people don't understand these details. And, you know, it's a cliche, the devil is in the details, but it really is.
I've got about 60 seconds left here. Let's get on two things very quickly here. Do we need to look at this deal and say, knowing what we have seen and learned from Iran in the past, there is no way that they will not try to cheat sooner or later? And the second part of this that I haven't heard a lot about is, as far as the 5+1, it is Russia and China who are going to be involved in helping to make sure that Iran toes the line. Look who we're putting that in the hands of. That's dangerous in itself.
That's exactly right. The International Atomic Energy Agency will be responsible for monitoring compliance with the deal. This is the same agency that got North Korea wrong. It's the same agency that missed Iraq's nuclear program in the 1980s. They're trumpeting the fact they have something called the Additional Protocol, which is a slightly tougher inspections regime. But as inspectors will tell you, unless there are anytime, anywhere inspections, which this deal does not provide for, the inspection regime is basically useless. And ultimately, if we detect that the Iranians are cheating, we're going to have to go to the UN Security Council, where we can count on being obstructed by Iran's friends in Moscow and and Beijing.
Once again, giving them the opportunity to do what they want to do. Let's remind everybody again of the book, which is a must-read, America in Retreat, The New Isolationism and the Coming Global Disorder. Bret Stephens is the author. Bret, thank you so much for setting a lot of these things straight for us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. Next up, the man who's exposed Iran's hidden nuclear facilities before and understands what the words trust but verify mean in such matters.